Okay, so picture this. It's January 15th, 2026. You're in what's supposed to be one of the most boring government buildings imaginable, the Shasta County Elections Office. But not today. No way. Today, the place is electric. You've got press, politicians, activists, the whole shebang. And they're all there for one guy who's about to make a huge claim, that he's figured out how to make every American trust elections again.
But before we get to his big, radical solution, you really have to understand the size of the problem he uncovered. As one official said, the number they found, well, it was staggering for a county this small. And at the very heart of this entire story is this one number, 2,783.
So what is that number? What does it even mean? Well, that's the number of phantom votes they discovered in the 2024 general election. To put it simply, that's 2,783 times more ballots counted than actual people who voted. I mean, where did they come from? It's like they just appeared out of thin air.
A crisis like that, well, it demands a pretty unique response. And that response came in the form of the new Registrar of Voters, a man with a very particular and, very controversial set of skills, a guy named Clint Curtis.
To really get who Clint Curtis is, you have to look at his backstory. It is not what you'd expect from an election official, that's for sure. His story kicks off way back in 2000. He's a programmer, and he alleges that a politician asked him to build vote-rigging software. He said no, blew the whistle, and even ended up testifying before Congress. For the next 20 years, he becomes a lawyer, fighting this stuff from the outside. And now? Well, now he's on the inside.
And this quote just nails it, right? Hiring him to run elections is exactly like hiring a master safecracker to design the bank vault. It's either a stroke of genius, or it's putting the fox in charge of the henhouse. But his argument is pretty simple. Who better to secure the system than the guy who knows exactly how to break it?
So Curtis gets the job, and his first order of business is to show everyone exactly where the old system was broken. He had to diagnose the problem before he could sell the cure, and what he found, well, it was pretty darn alarming.
He basically boiled it down to two huge points of failure. On one side, you had what he called procedural disasters. I'm talking about the basic day-to-day handling of ballots that was just a mess. And on the other side, you had the hardware nightmares. All those deep-seated fears about the voting machines we're all supposed to just blindly trust.
Let's start with those procedural failures, because this part is just wild. Under the old system, ballots were just kept in loose stacks in a locked room. No tamper-proof seals, nothing. But here's the kicker. Even though you needed a badge to get in, the electronic log didn't record who entered, just that a badge was used. Could be anyone. The result? You have zero, and I mean zero, verifiable chain of custody. No way to prove who touched the ballots or when.
Then you've got the black box problem. The concern here is that since a lot of the hardware in these machines is made overseas, a tiny, malicious chip, we're talking the size of a grain of rice, could be hidden on a motherboard at the factory. That chip could be programmed to subtly alter vote counts. And because the software is a trade secret, nobody's allowed to independently inspect it. You just have to trust it. It's a total black box.
So you've got these huge problems, right? Physical security, digital trust. It's all broken. So what was Curtis's prescription? Well, after diagnosing all these high-tech fears, his solution was surprisingly low-tech. It was all about transparency.
And just like that, this rural county in Northern California, a place most of us have probably never heard of, became ground zero for a radical experiment that could honestly change how we all think about voting.
The core idea was simple but powerful: radical transparency. The new mindset was to run the elections office like a casino. Think about it. Casinos assume people might try to cheat. So what do? They put cameras on everything. They watch every single move. That's exactly what Curtis did. So how do you actually fix this broken system? Well, first, to solve that locked room problem, cameras now live stream every single step of the ballot handling process. Anyone, anywhere can watch. Second, instead of a secret process, the public is now invited in to see for themselves. Third, those loose stacks and ballots? Gone. Now they're all accounted for in sealed, tamper-proof bags. And finally, to counter that black box problem, the audit is now totally low-tech. No more secret algorithms, just ping-pong balls. Why? Because you can't hack a ping-pong.
So that's the model. Cameras, seals, and ping-pong balls. I know, it sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But the million-dollar question is, did it actually work?
Well, the results were pretty dramatic. I mean, just look at this chart. In the November 2024 election, you had that massive 2,783 vote discrepancy.
After they brought in the Shasta model, the special election in November 2025 had zero. Zilch. Not a single error. The hand count audit perfectly matched the machine count.
And before you think this was some kind of illegal, rogue operation, it wasn't. The California Secretary of State's office actually sent people to observe the new process, and they confirmed it was all completely legal. Radical? Yes, but legal.
But look, even Curtis himself will tell you this isn't a silver bullet. He's the first one to admit that while he may have secured the counting room, the bigger fight for election integrity is far from over. Why? Because the biggest vulnerabilities, he argues, are outside his control.
Take California's first vote counts rule. Sounds fair on the surface, right? But it creates this totally backward incentive. Here's a real example. A woman named Kim Yeater went to vote and was told she already had. Someone had stolen her vote. Under this rule, the first ballot in is the only one that counts. So the fraudster's vote got counted and her legitimate vote got thrown out. The system actually rewards the cheater.
And this really gets to the heart of the challenge here. It's a question of control. The Shasta model can perfect the chain of custody and make the audit process totally transparent. But it's the state of California that controls the voter registration rules, the voter ID laws, and the rules for mail-in ballots. So Curtis can count the votes perfectly, but he can't control whose votes are being counted in the first place.
So when you take a step back and look at the whole wild story, the whistleblower, the phantom votes, the ping pong balls, it all boils down to one fundamental, philosophical question about the future of our democracy.
You know, for decades, the answer to election security has always been more technology, better machines, stronger encryption. The Shasta experiment challenges that entire idea. It suggests that maybe true security isn't found in a complex black box we're just told to trust, but in a simple, transparent process that we can all see with our own eyes. So what do you think? Is the future of high-tech security actually low-tech transparency? That really is the ultimate question.